Tonight, Port Lincoln's mayor given a first-hand look, but he's still seeking answers on plans to drill in the Bight. And a favourite son returns home for a special local footy clash.
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening. Port Lincoln Mayor Bruce Green accepted an invitation to explore the Gorgon drilling project by Chevron over the weekend. The project in Western Australia is the largest resource development in the country, with the company seeking support for their Great Australian Bight project.
Fresh from his interstate trip from Barrow Island, Mayor Green has now seen the inner workings of Chevron and their plans to drill off the South Australian coast. Invited along with other delegates from the region, the Mayor explored the Gorgon gas project and its impact on the local community. The Mayor now seeking a detailed environmental plan to be shared with the public.
This needs to be totally transparent. It needs to be totally understandable by the general community and open to serious questioning.
But drilling in the Bight has been a contentious issue. Protesters believe the risks are enormous and fear the Deepwater Horizon incident that occurred in Mexico could potentially happen here. The Mayor now inviting a conversation between all parties to weigh up the differences.
Have as reasonable a debate as we possibly can about the negative impacts, but also have a look at the positive impacts for a community like us.
Chevron is not the only company looking to find oil. Others in the Bight have spent millions exploring the sea floor. The
3D surveys have been completed and are identifying some likely prospects.
Chevron has spent billions of dollars in WA and created 10,000 jobs since 1980. If they get the nod to begin drilling, the Port Lincoln economy will receive a significant boost.
All of that requires land-based services as close as possible to where these rigs are sited, so could have a huge impact on our region.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Novita has received a $200,000 grant from the state government to build a disability services hub in Whyalla, which will employ 200 people. The charity says the new facility will ensure its 70 clients in Whyalla get access to therapy and daycare ahead of the rollout of the NDIS.
Novita currently looks after 70 people in Whyalla, providing care and allied health support for both adults and children across 2 sites. It'll operate out of a single hub from next year, after receiving a state government grant to upgrade.
The new premises will allow us to combine our therapy, day options and the community inclusion services.
Novita will operate out of the old Whyalla News building, which is currently undergoing renovations. 5 new jobs will be created, on top of the 15 currently employed. Mr Thompson says working together from one site will help improve the care and services available to locals.
It will enable us to grow and to develop those services, so we'll be able to provide them more frequently and more efficiently from one area.
The move coincides with the NDIS rollout in the region from January next year. Skills Minister Susan Close says the upgrade is part of a shift towards service providers having the final say on how funding is used in the community. She also says the upgrade will help those with disabilities in regional areas gain access to the best care available.
That can be more challenging if services are unsure about the kind of resourcing that they'll have available to them. They might start to withdraw. So we've made the decision to support Novita in Whyalla.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The mayors of Whyalla, Port Augusta and Port Pirie, along with the local MPs, gathered on Friday for an Upper Spencer Gulf Common Purpose Group meeting. It was the first following the announcement of the sale of the Whyalla Steelworks.
The mayors and the MPs of the region gather regularly to have open and frank discussions about how the region works.
Talk about a lot about the opportunity for growth in terms of investment into the region, job opportunities, improving infrastructure.
And the sale of Whyalla's Steelworks was the main talking point of last week's meeting.
And the good news today is we're discussing is the opportunity that happened in Arium and Whyalla just recently. That's been fantastic. We've got the transformation of the Near Star here. We've got opportunities in Port Augusta with the Sundrop that is still going up there. It's getting bigger and bigger.
The group says the sale of Arium and the redevelopment of the smelter comes a positive future for the region with more employment opportunities.
genuinely believe that we are really turning the corner now in the Upper Spencer Gulf, and we're going to have I think, a very positive future. And for all of us, that's about creating jobs and having that economic security, which has been challenging.
And they're adamant that Upper Spencer Gulf will benefit from the teamwork, hopefully seeing more improvements throughout the region in the coming years. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Well, as many Australians prepare to do their taxes, Broken Hill Police have issued a warning about the dangers of scammers this time of year. They say people claiming to be from the Australian Taxation Office have been calling local homes and demanding money, but they say you shouldn't be alarmed if you get a call.
Getting ready to do your taxes can be a stressful and nervous time, and more scammers are now taking advantage.
It is a time, particularly at the end of financial year, there's a lot of money going around, there's a lot of getting your receipts ready, getting ready for tax time. It's something that scammers are aware of.
Broken Hill Police say they have been getting calls about tax scams and want people to be vigilant.
You might get a phone call from someone claiming to be from the Australian Tax Office, ATO. They might say, we need some personal information, or you need to pay a fee to get your refund. You might also get phone calls where they ring up, they're quite aggressive, they go, we're going to arrest you, you need to pay some money immediately.
Detective Inspector Fuller says the real ATO doesn't do phone calls like this, and there's nothing wrong with calling around and double checking these sorts of things if you're not sure.
The Australian Tax Office has a website, they've got phone contact numbers. Double check, jump on the phone book, jump on the internet, go and get those numbers. Double check, talk to your accountant, talk to your family. Those are the ways to avoid that.
And there is also a website called ACORN, the Australian Cybercrime Online Reporting Network, where you can lodge the details of your scam and help police. And if you do find yourself on the receiving end of a scam phone call, Detective Inspector Fuller says the best thing you can do is hang up.
Hang up is always the best way to end a phone call you don't want, and it's definitely one you don't need. If you end up sending money overseas, we're probably not going to be able to get it back for you. That hanging up is going to stop a lot of pain and a lot of trouble.
Patrick Roenke, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news, worrying signs of trouble, the toothy problem affecting regional locals. The details ahead. Welcome back. Broken Hill firefighters had to be called to extinguish a blaze which destroyed a car early this morning. The fire broke out behind a local pizza store at around 2 o'clock this morning. The four-door sedan was parked at the back of the property, with the fire spreading to parts of a nearby building. Police are investigating the cause of the blaze. It's believed the car had been parked there for a number of months. A Whyalla man has been reported for drink driving after crashing his motorcycle in Whyalla Stewart on Friday evening. Just after 4 p.m, police saw the man riding a motorcycle along McDouall Stewart Avenue when the driver mounted the curb and fell off. He was breath tested and returned a reading of .116 over 2 times the legal limit. Further checks revealed the driver was unlicensed and the bike was unregistered and uninsured. The 39-year-old from Whyalla Stewart will appear in court at a later date. And Port Lincoln police reminding the public about the dangers of drink driving after 4 people were caught over the speed limit in separate incidents on the weekend. 2 men were stopped by patrols on Friday night, a 26-year-old unlicensed man blowing more than 5 times the legal limit. Earlier that night, a 56-year-old man recorded a blood alcohol reading more than 3 times the limit. Both have been instantly disqualified from driving. Meanwhile, on Saturday, police stopped a 56-year-old woman who blew nearly 2 times the legal limit. And on Sunday, a 20-year-old man had his car impounded after a random breath test. Police warning anyone considering drink driving, they will be caught. Well, tooth decay is a big issue for people living in Port Pirie and in other remote areas, with the rate of decay increasing quickly. The lack of oral hygiene and not visiting a local dentist is to blame, with many local families unaware they're entitled to free dental treatment under a rebate scheme.
In rural communities, over 31% of residents have untreated tooth decay, and Port Pirie is one of the communities greatly affected by this.
Residing within the rural and remote communities, they have quite a high prevalence of tooth decay, untreated tooth decay.
The root of tooth decay in rural communities is often too many sugary foods and drinks, and many local families are unaware they are eligible for the Child Dental Benefit Schedule, where they are able to receive $1,000 worth of dental treatment, vital treatment that may detect decay early.
Basic checkups, oral examinations, x-rays, cleans, fluorides, through to more advanced treatments like restorative treatment, fillings, root canal treatments, extractions.
Dentists across Port Pirie say they have a high number of patients who don't show up for their appointments. And with the rate of tooth decay rising in remote areas, residents are urged to attend the annual visit for an oral checkup.
There are multiple dental providers throughout the community of Port Pirie, numerous private and public practices where you're able to seek care with your local dental professional.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Whyalla Council has received a mixed response to the commercial development of land near the steelworks, but will seek expressions of interest anyway. But the process has been criticised by the local state MP, who says there's been a lack of information given to residents.
Last month, Council began public consultation on the future of land near the Whyalla Steelworks, which was designated as open space, but is a subject of commercial proposals. The public has responded, with feedback on the idea mixed.
There was 2/3 of the responses that said we would be willing to entertain some development as long as it generated jobs.
A third of residents, however, disagree and want the land to remain open. The local golf club has also teed off on the proposal, concerned its views of the surrounding hills and Spencer Golf will be impaired. But Council has decided to move forward and open expressions of interest for commercial development, provided the local economy benefits.
Only if it generates significant economic returns for Whyalla, and that really means long-term jobs.
The consultation process, however, has been criticised by State MP Eddie Hughes for its vagueness.
What sort of consultation is it that doesn't actually talk about what is being proposed?
Mr. Hughes has been working with the Chinese company, who have proposed a pilot solar horticultural project, which he says could create over 100 jobs. He says the process has delayed the project, and he fears they'll look somewhere else.
If the council's going to be difficult about this process, given the council own the freehold land here, they will go elsewhere in Australia.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. When we return after the break, the AFL legend back in his hometown, pulling on his old colours for a special clash. The details ahead. Welcome back. Organisers of Broken Hill's first ever Junior Gymkhana over the weekend have hailed the event an overwhelming success. The day was full of thrills and spills, with hundreds of people coming through the gates to take part.
From toddlers to teenagers, from ponies to thoroughbreds, it was fun for all ages at Broken Hill's Junior Gymkhana. The day was full of Akubras, Dusty Boots and RM Williams. Outback Australia was at its finest.
Fabulous. We've got lots of kids that are happy, so that's all that matters, so I think it's been a great success.
Junior riders of all ages took part in the Gymkhana, some even coming from interstate.
There's some people from Jura, some people from Menindee, they're from away, and then there's also local people in Broken Hill.
There were plenty of events to keep the crowd and riders entertained, from the unique envelope race, which involves a bit of luck to win, to a good old-fashioned whip-cracking competition.
It's been excellent. Heaps of people were turned up, and we normally have to travel places for all these events and gymkhanas and rodeos and stuff.
And no gymkhana is complete without the traditional barrel races, and riders each had a turn at getting around the course as fast as they could. This young girl took a bit of a tumble during her run when her horse threw her off after the last barrel, but she was tough, walking away unscathed. Overall, the Junior Gymkhana was an excellent drawcard for young riders around the region. And Miss NORLEY says if she keeps getting the support, she'll definitely be doing it again.
I would love to thank everybody. It's been a huge effort to bring this together. The sponsors have been absolutely amazing, and the people that have helped me just bring it together. Look, thank you so much. It's all for the kids. That's why we kept it under 18, and job done.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
AFL star and premiership hero Corey Enright returned home to his beloved Kimber Tigers on Saturday to play a one-off exhibition game. The Geelong great donned the yellow and black for the first time since he was 17 and inspired an 11-goal win.
Imagine lining up for your country footy team against a triple AFL premiership player. Well, that's exactly what happened on Saturday when Corey Enright was welcomed home to play one last game for his childhood club, Kimber.
I've always had fantastic support from Kimber and the Eastern Air Footy League, and it's good to see so many people out there today enjoying themselves.
The AFL legend lacing up the boots to support the community that helped launch his football career. Boris quickly finding his feet back on home soil.
There's a few familiar faces. There's a few sons of the dads I used to run around with, so it's showing my age a little bit.
But the 35-year-old hasn't lost his touch, racking up 50 possessions and 2 goals in a man-of-the-match performance. His teammates watching on in disbelief.
10 goals, just 10 goals from centre all day. No difference in the day, really.
The club turned out to watch their favourite son guide his team home to victory. The players left buzzing from the experience.
Very lucky and fortunate to be able to run out in the Tigers Guernsey and have a kick with the big fella.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Well, a one-sided game kicked off the weekend in Port Augusta with the bottom of the table Spencer Golf team playing the top. Solomon Town maintained an easy win over Central, while there was some closer games with the rest of the teams. Amelia Simpson joins us with all the weekend's action. And Amelia, it was a game that went just as expected, really.
Tim, there were definitely no surprises here in the Spencer Golf this weekend. Bottom of the ladder Central played Solomon Town Cats here on Saturday. And as predicted, Solly took home a 56-point win against Central Augusta, maintaining a consistent lead throughout the game. A desperate Central stood no chance against straight-kicking Solly, scrambling for the ball and bringing only a handful of goals to the table in both halves. Solly continuing to show why they deserve their rightful spot at the top, with player Trent Hoare scoring 4 goals for the winning team. Some closer games across the rest of the league, with 4th-ranking Prop Risdon scraping in a 13-point victory over Port, who's currently sitting at 5th on the ladder. And on Sunday, South Augusta dominated West 112-76, maintaining a slight lead in the first half, with player Brenton Colson polishing off the game with his 6th goal. While they're 1-2 on the ladder, Whalers North couldn't crack more than 3 goals against a fierce West, who came out with a 77-point win over the Magpies. Central and South were neck and neck in their third quarter, with Central scraping in a 1-point win before the siren. Maroona Bay couldn't get the ball rolling, with nothing on the scoreboard in the first quarter against Rupina, who cleaned up the game 64-36. In Lincoln, the Boston Tigers continued their losing streak against Marble Range, finishing up 28-97. Some closer games, however, with the other teams, with Lincoln South's narrow 3-point victory over the Tasman Roosters and Mallee Park on top of the Waybacks by just 4 points. In Broken Hill, a goal from our own Patrick Reinke couldn't get Central past the North Bulldogs, who thrashed them by 86 points. West didn't even get 1 point in the first half against South, who cleaned up 182-24. On the York Peninsula, Moonta thrashed a struggling Butte. Kadina beat Central York. Baskerville lost to the Eagles and the Crows thrashed Ardrossan. And in the northern area, wins to Crystal Brook, Broughton and Orroroo. So, Tim, some outcomes most of us could see coming this week, but as always, you never know how it's going to turn out on the field. I'll be back tomorrow night with the rest of the sport from around the region.
Good stuff. Thanks, Amelia. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll stay with us after the break and look at your local weather for the week ahead. Welcome back. Turning to the weather now, and a fine and sunny start to the week. 23 today's top in Port Augusta, with 21 in Whyalla. Port Lincoln 20, the same for Port Pirie today. Broken Hill on 19 degrees. On the national satellite image, clear for the moment, but cloud cover moving in tomorrow is set to generate some patchy showers. Out on the waters, the winds to 20 knots to the north, the seas to a metre in southerly. Sunrise is at 18 minutes past 7. So we'll see some showers tomorrow as that cloud cover passes over. 24 the top for Port Augusta, 22 in Whyalla, and 20 for Port Pirie. Port Lincoln on 19 degrees and a fine 23 in Broken Hill. Then looking at the next few days, the showers will linger in Port Lincoln, 18 for Wednesday, then 20 for Thursday. Cleve fine though, 18 and then 21 this week. Woodner on 20 midweek. Whyalla fining back to 19 for Wednesday, then 22 on Thursday. Port Augusta 21 and 24. And in Kadina 17 with some showers for Wednesday, then a fine 19 for Thursday. Port Pirie fine midweek, 18 the top, showers returning with 21 on Thursday, showers at 15 then 17 for Clare. Broken Hill staying sunny, 19 and then 22. And that is the local news for this Monday evening. Hope you had a great weekend. Don't forget, you can stay up to date with us on Facebook and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email. We'll see you back here tomorrow night from 6:30. I'm Tim Hatfield from the team here at Southern Cross News. Have a good evening. Good night.